We also pray that our decisions today represent all of our fish and wildlife and natural resources, and that we're able to treat everybody with respect, and that we listen and provide the good decisions and discussions that we can. We do all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we have our minutes from February 8th.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Anita.
I have a correction on page 3 of 4. And it's just kind of to clarify, but Anita Matt informed council she received a request from Chelsea Kleinmeyer for the Tribal Health Department to use one of the extra offices at the Dixon Agency building to provide some health services. Anita has no problem with the request, but she does not know how council wants to handle the use of the buildings. Maintenance of the building is up to the users. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita, for that clarification. Is there any other corrections to the minutes? Motion by Len to approve February 8th minutes with corrections. Is there a second? Second by Bing. All those in favor? Unanimous for those present. Yes, Mike?
Abby's indicating she has no audio.
Yeah.
Oh.
Abby, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
We have a draft agenda before us. I might add that we have a lot of information we're going to cover this morning. Some heavy lifting to do. So if you have any additions to the agenda, hopefully they're quick. Yeah, Martin.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to have an executive session prior to, say, about 10:45, prior to that next discussion, please.
Yes, I believe we are going to go into executive session before that anyway, Martin. So it'll be good.
I have some things, and then I'll do a open, please.
Okay. When?
Mr. Chair and members of the council, sometime today I would like to discuss and approve the new modified organizational chart that acknowledge the changes with both elders committees. If there's no other discussion that you feel is needed, I'd like to move and get that finished today.
Okay, we'll add that to the agenda. Yes, Anita.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the agenda for February 6th with the additions.
Motion by Anita to approve the draft agenda as final. Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, so time is of the essence. We have one walk-in. Is that correct, Jen? Okay, Sonny? Pardon? Oh, that was the minutes. So Sonny, I would like to, it is, I'm not, very serious about our agenda this morning. So if it's new material you have for us, I'd really want to hear it, but I want to make sure we list it to just a few minutes, and then hopefully we can assist you in some way. Well, if you can be as brief as possible for just a few minutes, that'd be great. Thank you.
There we go. Yeah, this is a part about like the public law 280 part that we're talking about, and there's a lot of stuff going on here about it. And I consider it to be just as important as our enrollment issues all the time. And that's the way I view our jurisdiction to be. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's how I feel. So along with that, so I'd like to share this here editorial from Walter McDonald. And this is, I'll just go with it. One of the most controversial issues on the Flathead today is enrollment. The tribal council has been operating under specific ordinances for several years without the approval of the secretary. These ordinances automatically become a tribal law when the Secretary of the Interior or a designated officer did not act within a 90-day limit, which was the case, and it seems rather hard to absorb now. The proposed amendments to be voted on at the referendum vote, if passed, will once and for all set the blood quantum of 1/4 degree Indian blood. From here on, it will validate ordinances 4A. Hereafter, all children shall be enrolled as a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes who are born to enrolled and recognized members of the Salish Kootenai tribes, regardless of the place of birth, provided they are not enrolled on any other reservation. The tribal ordinance 10A will become valid if the referendum carries, setting the blood quantum at 1/4 degree Indian blood. Later, ordinance 18A was adopted specifically setting the blood quantum at 1/4 degree Salish or Kootenai blood. In all ordinances, the Secretary of the Interior did not take action, and failing to do so within 90 days, these ordinances automatically became a tribal law. However, new solicitors have questioned the past action of the tribal council, as each ordinance should have been voted on by a referendum vote. And then I'll just skip down here. It says, anyway, one looks at it, someone will be hurt. But if the referendum does not carry, a lot more will be hurt who were enrolled under the questionable ordinances other than the ones we have with the 1/4 quantum. In the amendment there are provisions that will determine residence. However, at the present, the theory is if one lived in Seattle, Washington, and gave the residence of Seattle, and the child was born on the Flathead, the child would not qualify because of residence. Hope to see you all April 1st. The superintendent with the concurrence of the Tribal Business Council has tentatively set the election for April 1st, 1960. He has also agreed to accompany the councilmen to meetings in their districts to discuss and help explain the proposed amendments. And then you got 25 U.S. Code 1326, special election, U.S. Code. State jurisdiction acquired pursuant to this subchapter with respect to criminal offenses or civil causes of action, or with respect to both, shall be applicable in Indian country only when the enrolled Indians within the affected area of such Indian country accept such jurisdiction by a majority vote of the adult Indians voting at a special election held for that purpose. The Secretary of the Interior shall call special election under such rules and regulations as he may prescribe when requested to do so by the tribal council or other governing body or by 20% of such enrolled members. And without a referendum being held what you did, not you specifically, the tribal council at the time, the governing body, what they did was terminated the parents' parental rights by not allowing them to vote in a referendum for concurrent jurisdiction. They handed over the children to the state of Montana without the consent of the parents, which I find troubling. And that's why I believe that a referendum needed to be held back then for this to be effective. And as it said in the statute I just read, and the George Mitchell case, that violated subsection E of the ordinance. And that says, if any provisions of the Act of the Montana Legislature of February 27th, 1963, Laws of Montana, 1963, Volume 1, Chapter 81, or if this ordinance shall be held invalid, or if the ordinance be held to extend a jurisdiction more extensive than set forth herein, or if any condition herein be not complied with or held invalid or ineffective, then this entire ordinance shall be held to be void and of no effect from the beginning. And when this got passed without a referendum and its operation from May 5th, 1965 till September 30th, 1994, when Governor Mark Roscoe signed a proclamation, that was when for partial retrocession for the misdemeanor part. So from May 5th, 1965 until September 30th, 1994, the tribe was illegally trying people because you had Louise Burke, Joey Newman, Henry Berlin, Donnie Dupuy, to name but a few tribal judges that I knew of when I lived at Dixon Agency growing up there. They held court there in the little, right next to the main building. There was a dispatch building with a little courtroom, and then the jail where it is. So in 1994, when you got partial retrocession for misdemeanors, that is something that we never did give up, because the tribe was having courts with these judges and stuff, and people were in the jail. I played basketball with a lot of the trustees and stuff there. And wish I had more time, because I have more interesting material, especially an article by John Cummings from the Crow, and their vision, because I was told that we were forced into it, but that was misinformation, because I have the documentation and stuff that proves otherwise.
Well, Sonny, thank you for the information. Appreciate it. We'll take it under consideration.
But like I said, because all that's going on and the misinformation about this, and this being a valid ordinance, the George Mitchell case, the state of Montana violated Section 2 of the state laws, the February 27th, by Section 2 says when he gets as the ordinance or resolution, as it says, he has to, within 60 days, sign a proclamation. Then they violated Section 3, which states after he signs a proclamation, you have to wait another 60 days. And I have one letter that I want to read that wasn't brought out nowhere, and this is what I brought up in 2018. I just want to read this one letter from the state, and that was what I was wanting the legal to verify if the letter that George says, because he objected to the jurisdiction of this court to hear, try, or determine the issues involved in this case upon the grounds and for reasons that the court is without jurisdiction to try this defendant. He, the said defendant, being a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes, this was filed on November 3rd, 1965. The proclamation that was signed by the governor was signed on October 8th, 1965. 40-A revised was signed on May 5th, 1965. From May 5th till October 8th is 157 days, well beyond the 60 days required by their law in Section 2. In Section 3, that would be from October 8th till December 7th is 60 days. So in between that time, George Mitchell is still under jurisdiction, and this is a letter from James B. Patton. He's administrative assistant, and this is out of the office of the governor, dated November 8th, 1965. Dear Mr. Hammond, your letter of November 2nd addressed to the Governor Babcock has been received. As you know, the governor is presently in Vietnam on a State Department sponsored tour of that country and of Japan, and will not return to the state until approximately the 15th of this month. In his absence, I am taking the liberty of answering your letter. You are correct in your interpretation of Chapter 81 laws of 1963 with reference to the assumption of jurisdiction by the state over crimes committed on the Indian reservations following certain procedural stops. On May 5th of this year, the Tribal Council passed the Tribal Ordinance 40-A subsequent to that date. The approval of the counties were obtained, and on October 8th, a proclamation was issued by the governor, which provides that the criminal jurisdiction of the state shall be in full force and effect 60 days from the date thereof. I would compute the date of effectiveness to be December 7th, 1965. It would seem to me that a crime committed on October 20th would remain under the jurisdiction of the tribal courts, as would any other crime committed on the reservation prior to December 7th, 1965. I have enclosed a copy of the proclamation. James B. Patton, Administrative Assistant. And the judgment for the state of Montana versus George Mitchell was done November 26, 1965. It has a 22nd day of here. And he was sent to prison for a year. They violated the conditions of their own laws, which violated 40-A revised. And that's what it states in there under Section E. If any condition, there's no time limit, it doesn't say a long time ago or anything like that, it's okay. Because you want to start talking time, you guys are always talking. Time memorial, is that too far back for us to recognize? The 1855 Hellgate Treaty, is that too far to go back? No, because Pat Left Hand in the April 1993 minutes stated that back when this was coming about, the membership didn't want it and the council did it without a referendum. And the membership didn't want this. And this is what happens when referendums aren't held about important things like this, such as the enrollment issue was. And that came up again in 2000, the enrollment thing.
Thank you, Sonny.
But the conditions of our ordinance and their law of 1963 conflict, and they have violated it, and it does, and that's what the ordinance says. If you can't uphold the ordinance the way it's written, then you probably should resign. Because this is a tribal ordinance, and it's very specific on if nothing was complied with. I've stated how the state did not comply with it. There's no splitting hairs about it. That is the way it reads.
Okay, thank you, Sonny, for your information. We're gonna have to move on to the next agenda item.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, Lake County is gonna be here. Whatever else, they're on the radio, they're on the news. All about the money again, and how many Indians are we gonna continue to human traffic through Lake County to Deer Lodge? Because that's what the minutes said in 93, that's what Hank Baylor and them talked about. and why they wanted out of this, because it wasn't working for our members.
Okay, thank you, Sonny.
But
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
I would like to bring this up more when we
Okay.
have, when there's more time, but that's the part, when I said I wanted a written response to was the letter from
Okay.
the governor's office on him being correct on what he identified George being under tribal jurisdiction.
Okay, we'll work on that too. Thank you, Sonny.
Yeah, well, like I said.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, Martin?
I guess, as per the usual, I will give a quick update. COVID numbers for Lake County are actually kind of, I guess in my simple calculations from yesterday till today, or Tuesday till today, have gone down about 33 cases, down to 170. We did have a uptick of 24 cases, but obviously the ones that are dropping off more quickly than we are getting people infected or home testing, who knows, you know. But hopefully we get through this. Please be careful out there. Make sure that you are dealing with you know, mental health issues. Get out there while we have some nice weather, enjoy the sun. Well, physical activity is always good, even if it's just a quick walk or something. So yeah, but still be careful. You know, there are still people passing away from COVID, and yeah, they may have pre-existing conditions, but you know, it's still the reason why they're passing. So because obviously if COVID wasn't here and we'd stopped it, people would stop dying. So not to be morbid or anything, but a lot of states, the mortality rate has surpassed the birth rate. So I was gonna have my friend Martin Noble look that up and see if he could figure out if Montana or our area has been affected like that. Just our enrollment numbers, we had a decline, I believe, last year in our enrollment versus a uptick. So it has affected our area, especially our tribal people. So, you know, last spring we were optimistic. We were ready to be done with this, and we had movies and things that made it seem like we were it was done. And, you know, I hope that same optimism we have right now carries and people actually do what we need to do to stop this, because I am tired of it. I don't know if you guys are. I'm tired of every sniffle being something I freak out about. Every time I feel my allergies kick in and I'm worried that it's COVID. You know, it'd be nice to live and not feel like I'm always at risk, and that anxiety is always there. And I know that's for a lot of people, you know, especially our healthcare workers, our people in our front lines at our, you know, our casinos and our restaurant and our gas stations and everywhere that we have people in public facing customer service, hands-on environments. You know, I hope that people are very considerate of them, because a lot of places are short-staffed and there's food shortages and things like that. And, you know, so don't take it out on the workers. Don't kill the messengers. You know, let's try to be in a world where we're actually kind to each other and compassionate and care, and, you know, the golden rule of treating others the way you want to be treated. And, you know, COVID's taught us a lot of things, some good, some bad, but, you know, let's beat COVID so I can quit doing these. But on the, you know, you know, a little humor is always good, hopefully. At least I make myself laugh. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. You know, we are continuing testing kits at the Tribal health facilities, I believe that they are stocked and ready to go, so you can take home testing kits. Gas stations have them now. So if you're concerned about having COVID, $20 for 2 tests is I think a good step for prevention of spreading it. And if you do have it, please stay home. Please mask up. Please do everything you can to not infect others, because ultimately that's how we're going to have to stop this. So thanks again, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Martin. I know that I received my 2 test kits that I had mailed to me, so that was good. Len, you have one item we maybe have time to squeeze in now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'll just be very quick here. So some time ago, we were presented with a modified organizational chart that acknowledged that took both elders committees as advisory groups next to the council. And that came at a couple discussions that we've had with the elders committees. That was one of their concerns. And so with that new organizational chart, I wanted to bring that forward today and get that passed. So if there was any other discussion about it, I would like to move forward and make the motion. Are we still in executive?
No, not an executive.
But I would make the motion to approve the new modified organizational chart that acknowledges the changes with the elders committees.
That's second, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Len to approve the modification for the elders committees. Seconded by Anita. All those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, Len. Okay, next on the agenda, we have budgets. Ruth Sweeney.
Always forget to do that unmute step. So before you, beginning on page 3 of your packet, is modification 5 to the total fiscal year 22 allocations. And you've probably noticed that we are now doing a little expanded breakdown of your fund sources. So you will begin seeing the general fund and then dedicated trust, which, as you all know, is the remainder of the Salazar settlement that we budget annually, the income from that investment of the funds that we're allowed to expend up to 97%. And then we will identify contracts, compacts, and grants. And then the water compact, which will become a pretty big item in the coming years. The settlement fund, which is the mitigation funds for operation of SKQ Dam, the programs that are administered by Natural Resources to mitigate. And then the totals corresponding to that. So with this modification, the bulk of the increases are in the compacts, contracts, and grants. So we're recognizing awards that have been made for those areas by function. Government services, health and human services, and so on. You see the biggest add-on is to health and human services, amounts that either were awarded through contracts or have carried forward into the self-governance compacts. Total increase of 21.1 million. So revised total allocations of 222,759,482.
Thank you, Ruth. Any questions for Ruth? The motion to approve modification 5 to the fiscal year 2022 total budget allocations. Motion by Martin, second by Mike. All those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Martin.
if I may, just to the previous, action we took. With that being said, with the moving of our elders committee, I think it's very important that council attempts to attend the actual elders committee meetings. It's the first Wednesday is the Salish Ponderay Culture Committee meetings, and the second Wednesday is the Kootenai Culture Committee meetings. I know that they come in and meet with us, but it's very valuable to be at those other meetings as well. And if we are holding them to the stand, to where they're at, and we want to be truly using them as advisory committees, I think it's important that, more of us go there. And so I just would like to, we missed, they already happened this month. So next month, I'll be sure to, if I get a invite, I'll be sure to include you all. I apologize, last time I was on the road and I thought the email came to all of us and it was just me. And so that's my fault for the Salish Elders Committee. But I'll make sure to include you guys, and I'm gonna ask the Sadie and them to make sure that all of us get that email as well. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Martin. I think that would be the critical component, is that when they set up the Zoom meeting, that they invite us, and you don't have to do it. If we could just ask them to do it. And I think most council members would be delighted to be able to attend, if we can, put it in, if there's not some other conflict. But trying to plan for it is good. Having Zoom meetings makes it much easier to attend and participate or listen in. So I would hope, as COVID goes away, that there's still an option to, may have a in-person and Zoom option for the elders meetings, just for more participation. Carol?
Yeah, I guess I don't want to reiterate it. I mean, that's exactly, if it's on my calendar, when I start to schedule around it, then I can definitely make it or hit it a couple of times throughout the day. So I would appreciate in advance to know exactly when the dates are. And Martin's right, they're the same every time, but if it's not on my calendar, then I kind of overlook it until I look at the email and say, oh no, elders meeting, I forgot it.
Okay, next is Lawrence. Good to see you, Lawrence.
Morning, Lawrence.
What do you have for us today, Lawrence?
What I have for presentation today for the council to consider is the resolution authorizing the April 6, 2022 per capita distribution. And the cutoff date for the enrollment and withholds will be March 17th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. So that'll be the cutoff. Anybody enrolled after that will not be considered for the distribution, and then we'll include all those enrollments after the distribution.
Martin?
If Len, I was gonna make a motion if Len has a comment.
Oh, go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. Yeah, before we move forward on this action, I just wanted to mention that prior to, I did acknowledge to council that I wanted us to take a look at options or solutions on how we can increase the per capita payments if that's possible. And so I would like to have this issue added to our next budget committee meeting and have our executive team look at some options for us to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Len. We'll put that on our to-do list. We have a motion by Martin to approve the resolution for the April 6th per capita distribution. Second by Anita. All those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, Lawrence.
Okay, thank you. Well, one thing I was asked before, and I think maybe the council should all know, is that the reason why we come in with a resolution before every per capita is because it's over a certain amount, and by constitution, we have to have a resolution approved for the taking of the trust funds out of our accounts and have it transferred to us. And that's the reason why.
Thanks for that information, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jen?
Lisa Short is on for John Nice and Corky. Sorry, I should be coming over as well, but she's on to present the next item.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Lisa, you're up next.
Good morning, everyone. If you'll see on page 7 of your council packet, we have a request to do contract work for a bus barn. They did send all the proposals out to the different eligible contractors. This was the only bid that we received, so we have chosen to select this contractor. They've done multiple contracts for us, and we're seeking approval to proceed.
Do we have any questions for Lisa or Corky's here? Good morning, Corky. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 8 of our packet is the estimate. I'm wondering, is it a problem that item 2 in the estimate describes the cut and remove payment in front of the north bay as 5 feet rather than 4 feet, 14 feet as is discussed elsewhere? Is that a problem?
I didn't hear the whole question, Mike.
Well, I'm referencing the estimate, Corky.
Yes.
And the estimate, item number 2, cut and remove payment. The estimate here says 5 feet, when in fact the proposal was for 14. Does that create a problem if the estimate isn't correct?
No, because after we discussed it, it would be okay. And with John and I and the contractors discussed that, it would be okay with where it was at. I mean, to where it was bid at.
Any other questions? Yes, Martin?
I would make the motion to accept the bid for the DHRD bus barn.
Motion by Martin to accept the bid. Anita?
Yes, I'd second that, but if they'd correct tribal council chairman on page 16.
We noticed that yesterday, and so it was going to be correct, but that's the template they received. And they couldn't change the template.
Motion by Martin, second by Anita with the correction. All those in favor? I believe it's unanimous. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Corky.
Thank you. Yeah, this will enclose the whole building, so we'll be sprayed with insulation and everything, so keep other vehicles in good shape. Thank you very much.
It's a nice operation you have over there, Corky. Yep. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll be actually coming in a couple months, in a couple weeks to the new grants that we're applying for, that we actually received. We just have to get council approve it on it, so. It's almost $2 million for operating.
Yeah, I have one question for you, Corky, on your staffing. You're having any problems with staffing, everything?
You know, we did have problems. Now we've just hired 6 new drivers. So that's really helped us out a lot. And so, with that being said, we're offering more same-day ridership. So it's easier for the clients to get a ride, and not everybody can call 24 hours in advance, but we kind of can do the on-call. This new, kind of give you a heads up, the new software we're looking into, or probably going to end up purchasing it, it's kind of like it's an app. So somebody can get right on their phone, pick a time that they want to get picked up today, we could do that. We will have that technology. That's going to come in probably in April. That's going to be part of our grant application that we applied for. And I think there's 9 transits in Montana have jumped to the VIA and have left route match, which we're with now, and which they were with. We're just not getting the technical help that we need when we need it. So VIA seemed to be a good company to go with. Blackfeet already jumped on board with them, and Kalispell and Missoula has. So a lot of the local ones are going to this VIA. So I think it's going to be a better app for us. So I already have 3 drivers, more drivers that we can hire, we would hire them. So we have room to grow. And it hasn't become an issue so far with the drivers.
Thank you, Corky. Len?
And thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. And Corky, I just wanted to acknowledge the employees that you have working over there, especially at the counter. They have the greatest customer service skills. And I've watched a few of them really improve. And I could recall, a few that just started, they were kind of shy, and they were really having a tough time learning. But after they picked up, and really seeing the improvement in them, it was really good to see. So I just wanted to let you know, and if you could let those folks know that we do notice the good work that they do. So thank you.
I appreciate that, and I'll definitely pass the word on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corky. All right, next on the agenda is Chelsea and legal department. And I'm not sure, I think we'd probably go into executive session for this. So we'll move into executive session.